o'clock. We are getting down to the wire. This year's legislative session will be over in a little more than 24 hours.
And some big bills have passed, such as millions for schools, rules on homeschooling, and limits on ICE activity. But there are still a few things that need to happen. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, live for us at the state capitol, where a long debate is actually expected over a gun bill. Susan.
Certainly, Mark, and I don't think the legislation or legislature would be complete if there weren't some really good debates, and that's what we've seen in this session. There have been contentious debates over homeschooling, and yesterday we saw a heated debate over restrictions over ICE activity in Connecticut, and we're expecting another one in the Senate tonight over a proposed gun ban. Quite a few bills still need to be voted on before this year's legislative session ends Wednesday at midnight. One is a gun ban on certain Glock-style pistols. The Senate is taking up legislation that passed the House. It stops future sales of Glock firearms that can easily be converted into fully automatic weapons with what's called a Glock switch.
If you say, hey, let's take a common sense step to make it more difficult to take a pistol and turn it into an illegal machine gun, the vast majority of Connecticut residents support that.
The law goes after the manufacturer to change the design so the switches can't be used. But Republicans say making a legal product illegal is a problem.
But you don't stop gun violence by putting more laws on the books that law-abiding citizens follow, because the criminals are the people that are committing this gun violence.
Also in these final hours, the House is voting on tougher penalties for drivers who pass school buses for a third time. They're also requiring all landlords to register. This helps cities and towns know exactly who the owner is if there's a problem. When pipes broke this year at the concierge apartments in Rocky Hill, damaging hundreds of units, it took a while for the town to know exactly who was liable because they had too many phone numbers. Another bill lawmakers are looking at is an attempt to clearly define what is a hate crime and create tougher penalties. In the legislative session, it is customary on the last day for Governor Lamont to address the General Assembly.
Look, I want to congratulate the legislature. We got a really strong bipartisan budget passed, making significant investments in education, significant investments in municipal aid so they can reduce or at least not have to increase property tax.
So judging from the governor's response, the answer sounds like yes, he will address the General Assembly, but it'll probably be brief and early. Governor Lamont says he doesn't like to stay up late. We've been hearing a lot of that, as you can imagine, in the legislative session. And every night, in fact, speaking of late, the legislature has been here until midnight, and they're expected to do so again tonight. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live in the state capitol.
Will be another long evening. Susan, thank you so much.